Hi, this is Melissa from the Messy Bun Mamas podcast, and I want to talk to you today about Anchor. This app, let me be real honest, is basically lifesaver. Um, I got the random idea, on a Tuesday that I wanted to try and hit up my mom friends and try and get a podcast going, and Anchor has made it so smooth. I downloaded this app, at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, got my plug and play microphone, and we were able to go in, record. We had a high quality recording, and it turned out great. And I didn't have to take any of the tutorials or anything like that. So, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's a safe and easy way to make a podcast. It's also free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, which is amazing. So I don't have to feel like a failure if nobody listens to me talk. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. For example, we just recorded our first episode, and I was already able to go in and remove something really stupid that I said. So, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello, this is Melissa. I am here to talk to you about our Patreon page. This is a page that you can go to and give us a monthly donation as you listen to our podcast, and you can get bonus content such as getting episodes early, getting bonus episodes, and a bunch of other things. Eventually, we'd like to do some t-shirts and so much more. So if you're interested, no pressure, you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/messybunmamas podcast. Again, that's patreon.com/messybunmamas podcast. In a fitting manner, there is a coffee membership, a cold brew membership, and an espresso membership. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on that page, and thank you so much for listening.
Messy Bun Mamas. I'm Joe. I'm John. I am Malcolm.
Hello. Thanks for joining us for episode 3.
Yay! We made it to episode 3.
Very carefully. So today we are going to talk about, can we hug it out, apologizing to your kiddos. But first, mom moment of the week.
Mom moments.
Okay, tell me your mom moment from this week.
So my mom moment both made me a little bit, well, I shouldn't say proud. It made me giggle, but it also made me conscious of some of the things that I may say in front of my son. My Joe the other night was very insistent that his dad was coming home. And it's been just kind of a crazy week anyway. So every day I've said to my husband, why don't you just stay home today? Just to have him home, and
I want to take a nap. Can you just stay home?
Right,
I'm tired.
right. The washing machine's broke. Life is just crazy. And so I would ask him that. And so it was probably about 8:00 at night. And he just spoke with such certainty. His dad is on his way home. No, he's not. And so I did a Marco Polo with him, if everybody knows what a Marco Polo is. And he sent a short little clip to his dad saying, are you almost home, Dad? I want you to come home. Just in his little 4-year-old voice. And his dad sends Marco Polo back and says, hey, nobody, Daddy's got to stay at work. We got a possible snowstorm coming this weekend. So Daddy may not be able to work overtime on Sunday. So I got to get it all in now. And Joe says, okay, Mom, okay, push start. And so I push start on the Marco Polo for him to send one back. And he says, Daddy, you need to come home so we can play Mario. He says, you need to come home. And I start to start to push stop on Marco Polo. And he says under his breath, you big jerk.
And then you could stop so you could laugh.
And part of me was like, I get what you're feeling, kid, because you want your dad to be here. And he's just not responding to your emotional needs. I'm here for you. But on the other hand, I was like, well, maybe I should stop muttering jerk underneath my breath when someone says something that I disagree with. So that was my mom moment of the week.
Oh, I have so many of those. I swear my kids hear ridiculous things they should never hear.
Right.
I'm just like, I'm 3 rooms away. You need to calm yourself and not repeat what I say.
Right. Can I just have an adult moment?
Yeah, right.
Without you repeating it word for word.
Right. Or like they'll see a person that I was talking about like the day before or whatever, and they'll say something along the lines of, Bah, didn't you say that their boyfriend's mean?
Yeah.
No!
Right.
What are you doing to me?
Right.
Stop talking.
Right.
Stop talking.
Right. I need you to stop internally recording everything I say.
Right.
Yes.
So I've definitely gotten a lot like more subtle when I try. I say it more internally now and instead of like out of my mouth.
Right.
So my mom moment from this week was, so this last week, I swear we have been at our church every single night. Every single night. We've just had like a bunch of stuff. We had, so I'm a Bible quizzing coach, which is basically like our kids memorize the Bible and then they go to competitions where they quiz on it. It's a really good thing for a kid to do. You know, it teaches them how to study, teaches them how to blah, 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 all the things. So we were there a lot this week. And obviously in the interest of fairness, if I'm going to be gone 5 nights out of the week, I probably should bring at least one of the children with me. You know, out of the goodness of my heart. So more often than not, I bring Malcolm with me because Malcolm and John fight the most. So removing one of them from the situation is the best. And John gets bored very easily whenever we go anywhere.
Right.
And honestly, he just is a homebody. Like he walks in the house from school. The first thing that kid does is take off his pants.
Sounds like my husband.
And then at some point his shirt comes off and he's just lounging in the recliner like a spider monkey, just like spread eagle in his underwear.
Right.
With like the remote laying on his chest.
Comfortable.
Just, like, chilling, you know.
Living his adult life already.
Foreshadowing his 20s. So he would rather be home. And Malcolm will run to get coffee with me. Like he will run to get coffee with me. He will run to, I gotta go to the gas station. Malcolm wants to put on his shoes. So he's definitely like easier to bring. And Rayla's 18 months old, so ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
She can stay home. So on Tuesday, we picked up a friend of ours and carpooled with her, and we had to go to church for a practice or whatever. And we pull up and I get him out of the car and he goes, hey lady. And she's like, what's up, buddy? And he's like, This is my church. It's my favorite place in the whole world. Oh, yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
I was like, oh. Well, and it was so nice because every single night this week when we had to go, like, I mean, there's like 1,400 children right now who are all between the ages of like 1 and 5.
Right.
And by 1,400, I mean probably at least 50.
Right.
Like there are a
lot.
You know, that organic
I like
church
them.
growth.
Right, the organic
We're
church
just
growth.
growing organically. So when I take him, I really enjoy taking him because there's always kids there who are his age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the people who are really involved, they all have boys that are 2 or 3 right now, or 4, 2,
Right.
3 or 4. So it's really nice just to take him because he always has somebody to play with.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously that's part of it. I mean, it's just, it was a really good mom moment for me because sometimes it's frustrating to pack him up and bring him anywhere with me.
Sure.
Because it's exhausting. And it's just like,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
cow. Can you please just put your shoes on?
Right? Yes. And he's 3.5 and he still refuses to go on the potty. So it's like, I have to still change his diaper, pull up. Although he will go sometimes. It depends on his mood. It's very important.
Excuse me.
For his mood to be considered in that sort of scenario. So yeah, it was so sweet. I was so excited because it was just like, it was just one of those moments.
That is awesome. I will say that is one of the things that make me smile the hardest is because Joe's dad does not come to church with us.
Yeah.
And so if there's a day where he's trying to convince me like we shouldn't go, like maybe right now the confirmed cases of coronavirus are super high and he's like, you really shouldn't go, and I'm trying to hold that balance of when is it time to be safe and when is it time to get out, and because mommy needs Jesus and mommy needs socialization,
humans, right?
And
I need humans.
Mommy needs something. And so I'm trying to find that balance, but he'll actually ask Joe's opinion, and that's, do you want to go to church tomorrow, Joe? And Joe always comes back with, yes, I want to go to church. Mm-hmm. And when we're pulling into the church parking lot, we're here. Yeah. So I totally get that feeling of, I did something right. My kid is excited about going to church.
Yeah. It's really great. And it's nice that they have friends. And
yes.
It's nice that, you know, and I think John kind of missed that a little bit because John doesn't like going to church. But part of it, in my opinion, is because he doesn't have, the only kids who are around his age are girls.
Group. Right.
And he's always been with the girls, like forever. And normally that's fine, but I mean, he's 7.
Right.
So it's kind of getting to that point in their age where like he wants to tackle and, you know,
he wants to be a boy.
Yeah, he wants to be a boy, and the girls are like wearing dresses and like, you know,
talking about their dolls.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's definitely a little rough. So that was my mom moment for the week.
That's super awesome, though. Way better than my mom moment.
So we can go right in to, can we hug it out? How to apologize to your kids.
I'm excited about talking about this one.
I am too. So I guess I want to start off by saying, I know that I've talked about it in a previous one, but I am a yeller. Like, for sure.
Ditto.
I am a yeller.
Passionate people.
Yeah. That's a positive spin on it for sure. I'm a yeller, and sometimes I, you know, my knee-jerk reaction is to yell or whatever. Ugh. And I have learned that it's important to go back and apologize. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
So I am going to read a couple points and then from people smarter than me, and then I'll give a little bit of my feedback. So Laura Markham, who's a PhD and an author of Peaceful Parent, Happy Kids, How to Stop Yelling and Start Connecting. Got to get that book, by the way.
I think I follow her on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
The
name sounds familiar.
She wrote an article and a bunch of other things, but how and when to apologize to your child. What does a child learn when a parent avoids apologies? They learn that apologizing means you've done something bad or you are bad. There's a feeling of shame attached. It's okay to damage a relationship and not acknowledge it or try to repair it. When you apologize, you lose status, and apologizing is something you wouldn't want to do unless you were forced to. So that's what a child learns when you don't apologize, which is kind of funny because my parents, I don't think that they ever apologized to me. And
I was just thinking this. I'm like,
and I suffer from all these things.
yes.
And the thing is, I don't want to say, I truly, truly believe that my parents did the best that they can.
Yes.
Or the best that they thought that they could.
They knew they could. They did what they knew.
Yeah. And at that time, parenting was just so different.
Right.
It was just like, and not that it was wrong, but I don't remember like my dad ever sitting me down. Like, for sure, my dad never sat me down and was just like, I'm really sorry that I yelled at you. And I don't fault him for that, because that was never something that
right.
a father would have even considered doing.
Right.
So now as an adult, those things I just said are things that I struggle with in my adult relationships. Like, if somebody does me wrong and doesn't apologize, I am immediately like, okay, so our relationship means nothing to you because you don't even have the decency to apologize. Right. And I was just like, whoa. I obviously, like, this has obviously affected me a little bit more than I thought. So wouldn't it be better to teach these lessons which your child learns when you model apologies? So we're going back to the article. We all sometimes make mistakes and we can try to make things better. We all sometimes hurt others. It's important to acknowledge when we do that and make amends. When you apologize, the other person feels better about you, and there's no shame in apologizing. We all end up feeling better. So I think that, I mean, it's kind of glossed over, but I think that it's a really good point of, I think I was affected a lot because my parents didn't apologize to me. And in reading this, it really enforced, because I have been so intentional about trying to apologize to the kids when I overreact.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to overreact. They're just everywhere all the time. And it's just, they're everywhere. Like, I mean, I have boys, and if your boys know how to pee in the toilet, God bless
dear
you.
Jesus. Send us a message on how you make that happen.
Right? If somebody tells me to put Cheerios in the toilet one more time,
it does
I'm gonna
not work.
Throw a handful of Cheerios at them. And the thing is like, I grew up with brothers. Like, I don't think I have ever gone an extended period of time, except when I had my own bathroom before I got married. My brother and I were living together, but we both had separate bathrooms. Mm-hmm. And I had my own toilet, which meant no pee on the seat.
Oh,
okay,
that's like heaven,
right? Right. So I get angry about stupid, trivial things like that, where it's just like, how many times do I just tell you, like, if you're gonna pee on the seat, like, just wipe it off. I have to do it anyways.
Right.
Like, so sometimes I get really angry and I yell, because yell is just, that's my knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
And there have definitely been times where I've gone back and I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry I yelled. You know, I shouldn't yell at you. I should not get angry. I should not, ground you from TV for a week because you peed on the toilet seat, because you're only 5. So, boss, sorry, she overreacted.
Right.
So, yeah. And then the other article that I have is by Donna Mority. She's a writer, editor, and author. She writes a lot about human connection. And she wrote an article called The 3 Pitfalls to Avoid When Apologizing to Your Child. So, don't make excuses. It's one of them. Briefly explain if you must, but remember it's not about you. Don't guilt trip. Never defend your bad behavior by telling your kids they caused it. And don't say, I'm sorry you feel that way. This cold and distancing phrase tells your child they are too sensitive, abdicates responsibility, and denies their feelings. So, we'll just get all serious and heavy right up front here.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm a yeller. I really struggle with it. I've gotten a little bit better. I try to take a deep breath, before I yell instead of just jumping right into it. And I can tell that even my interactions with my oldest son have gotten better since I started intentionally apologizing to him, because there have definitely been many times that I've probably overreacted. He definitely deserved to be, punished or reprimanded or whatever. But I don't know, especially when I was really deep into my postpartum with my last baby, my voice and my anger got to such a level that, I mean, there were times that I would yell at them and I was just like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong. Cause I'm yelling, I can feel the blood vessels about to pop in my eyeballs yelling, which is obviously not good. But if you've ever been through postpartum,
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not an intentional thing by any means.
Right. It just comes on you all of a sudden.
Yeah. Why did you miss the Play-Doh? It's just
Right.
ridiculous. There's no reason for it.
Right.
So, yeah, ever since I got, diagnosed with postpartum, and that is when I really tried to start intentionally apologizing, when not for reprimanding him, but for my reaction sometimes when I reprimand him. And, I really only have to apologize to my 7-year-old, because my 3-year-old does not do any of the shenanigans that my 7-year-old does. So, so yeah, it's really helped our relationship, because there are times where I hurt his feelings. And I mean, it's kind of hard. He's an emotional kid, so it's really hard to not hurt his feelings. But there are times where I hurt his feelings, and it's just, previously I would just ignore it.
Right.
I knew I hurt his feelings, but I would just be like, well, you deserve it.
Right.
And now it's just I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get so upset.
Mommy overacted a little.
I overreacted.
Maybe a lot.
Yeah. Maybe a lot. So yeah, it's really one of those things that I feel you have to be intentional about. I don't like apologizing.
Nope.
I don't even like apologizing to grown-ups.
Nope.
I don't like apologizing at work. I don't like apologizing to my friends. Nope. That's a big fat nope for me.
It's like admitting a weakness.
Yes.
Yeah.
When really it's I think it takes a really strong person to go back to somebody and be like, I am sorry that I did this. And I definitely have done that. So this past weekend I was with some people, and somebody posted something on Facebook that had a bunch of spelling errors. And I was like, okay, it was a nice post, and I was like, you have spelling and grammar errors in here. You need to fix them. It just, and I'm that person where I can't read something. I hardcore judge when people have spelling or grammar errors. And I know that that's a me thing.
Right.
Most people do not care. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was correcting the errors, and her husband came by and was like, nobody cares. Only 4% of people even read those posts. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's like really upset that I like hurt her feelings. Cause like she was sitting there on her phone, like trying to fix it. And the next day I was like, I'm really sorry. Like I didn't mean to
Right.
like offend you. Like I understand. And she's just like, yeah, it wasn't even a big deal. So I was like, this thing that I would have like labored over in my mind of like, oh my gosh, they're so mad at me. I'm such
Right.
a mean person. I had to point out somebody, like, who points out? It's like that person who you say who and they're like, whom?
Right.
I'm like, oh, I'm that person, I'm that guy.
I have someone in my life when you say, I would like that too. They'll say, do you mean as well? No, I meant too.
So in apologizing for being not nice, I realized that like it really wasn't that big of a deal. So it was kind of nice. And there are times that happens with John too, where I'll apologize to him because I'm upset about the way I treated him, and it's just not a big deal for him. And I think that that's a learning experience for both of us, where we're able to move past things, I think, a little bit better because, and I'm not perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination. It's still a work in progress.
I understand.
Yeah. So what about you? How do you ever apologize to Joe?
I do apologize to Joe, and I will say that it took me a couple of years, to learn an apology towards him, and it came from several different, like my viewpoint came from different aspects. Part of it was unrealistic expectations.
Of your 2-year-old.
Of my 2-year-old. Yeah, it's like, and then the other part I think does bounce back to, well, my parents never apologized to me.
Yes.
Why should I be apologizing to my kid?
Yeah.
And which doesn't make sense because there's other things that I do completely different from my parents. Side note, sidebar, that my parents are like, we never had to do. Like,
well, I'm doing it better than you.
So it's funny that mix of I'm gonna step out and be a better parent. No, I'm gonna be the same parent as my parents. And like you said, it's not because they were bad parents. It's just that's what they knew what to do. And so I have definitely picked up learning to apologize to Joe. As you said, it can be hard. Like I feel like I'm handing over power. And they already
have so much.
Right. I just gave my 4-year-old leverage to make me feel guilty the rest of the day. So far, he has not learned to use that against me.
That's good.
He did get a hamster, and that's only because my guilt continued at the end of November, even though I apologized. We still went and got him a hamster. But there's more story to that, and I would love to share that with you someday. So there's 2 different ways that I approach him. As you said, I don't apologize for everything, and I definitely draw the line at you can't just come to me and say I've hurt your feelings over every little thing.
Yeah.
So like if you're throwing things at me and I say, please stop throwing that at mommy, and you still continue to do that, the punishment that comes from that,
I'm not apologizing.
I'm not apologizing for that.
Yes.
I mean, if I go overboard with it
and start whipping toys back at you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if my reaction is totally undeserved, but typically in those situations, I will, I'm able to keep my cool, and this is your punishment, timeout, taking the toy away, throwing it away, whatever. And so I will not apologize for something like that at all, because hey, your feelings are hurt. Well, it hurt mommy's feelings that you could not listen and respect that mommy didn't want to have you jumping on her or whatever,
Or things
whatever,
thrown at
or
me.
things thrown at me. Right. I don't want your boogers wiped on me. I don't, just whatever it was, whatever the offense was.
Be a mother to a boy.
So, but I have learned about apologizing, and as you said, I think that helps because even though I don't like it, it has also helped with just my marriage too. Like, if I can apologize to my 4-year-old, I guess I can apologize to my husband as well. But I would definitely, I really appreciated the part that you read about, like, when you apologize, it's not about then casting, like, somehow making it all about, I'm really sorry, but. And so I work really hard not to make sure that my apologies are not about the but.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but if I do feel like there's some type of follow-up, I try to come back later with that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, when mommy freaked out the other day, it would be really super helpful if you would just use your listening ears.
Turn them up a little bit. Turn them up.
So, yeah, I've worked really, I'm like you, like, especially like pressure points. This week has been a good example. I mean, the washing machine's broke. The country is still kind of in some chaos, and everybody's got their opinions, and like, part of my business relies upon me being on social media, so I can't just avoid people's opinions as I would like to. And so it can be just overwhelming. And then when you've got just a 4-year-old that doesn't understand personal space or anything, it can, right, like, the reaction comes out of you before you can stop it. It's like, roar!
That's so true. The other thing that was in one of these articles that I thought it was important to mention is, if your child thinks it's a big deal, acknowledge that, even if you don't think it is. And so the example that is on here is, I told you I'd get you a new notebook when I went to the store, and then I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. I know you were counting on me to come home with the notebook. So this is a John thing. He remembers everything. So if I tell him, like, today, that Monday after school, if he does good in school, I'll get him popcorn, he's fully expecting me to get him popcorn on Monday.
Right.
And I mean, this isn't, he thinks it's a big deal, he did something naughty and he thinks it's a big deal, I should apologize. This is more like when I made him a promise, or in his head, what he views as promise and what I viewed as like a flippant comment of like, yeah, we'll get you popcorn on Monday, like, whatever.
You set an expectation for him.
I did. Yeah. And if it goes unfulfilled, like, it's popcorn. Like, are you seriously sitting here and like making me feel guilty about popcorn? Ugh. But at the same time, it's justifiable because it's just popcorn.
Right.
And it's so understandable that, I mean, I'm the same way, or I'm so weird with my emotions where, well, if I can't trust you for things like popcorn, how am I supposed to trust you for really important things?
Right. How do I know you're going to be clothing me next year?
That's how my mind works. So right. I'm sure he's inherited that a little bit. So I've had to learn with him that I have to apologize when I make agreements or deals or whatever with him and I don't follow through, because he remembers. Mm-hmm. And it's like I can see the trust just chipping away, like little by little bit. And it's never intentional. Like, I don't intentionally forget to do things. But there have been times that we've pulled in the driveway and he's like, you said that we would stop and get a snack. You're right. I did say that. and we're pulling in the driveway, and I just want to go in the house.
Right.
But it's like I have to pull out of the driveway and I have to drive and go get a snack because I told him I would get him a stupid snack. Fine. And that's something I wouldn't have done even a year and a half ago because it's such a small thing. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal to him.
Their age, their expectations, their wants, what's important to them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now it is, Joe is an avid Mario player, plays better than me. And we have the Nintendo Switch. Now we've recently acquired one. And there is a game that he enjoyed playing on the Wii U that is coming out on the Switch, but it's not coming out till February.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad, God bless his dad, showed him a commercial for it and said, "This is coming." So I understand that importance. Like, that game is important to him, and he knows that mommy hates having to switch over from the Switch to the Wii U's just so he can play that game. So he's like, now I can have it. But Daddy showed him the video and he wants that now. So it's all about what their expectations are in their little world. I mean, other people look at us. That's what I have to stop and think. Some people look at me and are like, what's your problem? Why is that a big deal? Right. And I'm like, what do you mean?
It is a big
deal. I'm sorry you're not feeling why this isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
So I've tried to be more conscious of that as well. Just what's in there. Like, if Dad says, hey, maybe we'll stop at Starbucks, I'm like, whoa. Are we stopping at Starbucks? My husband's a very, very much a maybe person.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't even work with me.
I know. And I struggle with it.
Yeah.
I struggle with it hard. And so I've had to say to him, hey, do you want a meltdown or do you not want a meltdown? Because it's possible you could get 2 meltdowns.
What are you really promising here?
So, I mean, especially when you say things like Starbucks,
right.
You know, because then you've got two people with high expectations at that point in the car. And so I've had to even just kind of coach my husband with, hey, his feelings are important too. We can't just base everything that we do today off of what are you feeling for the day.
Yeah. And it's true, because like there are times my husband's like, he doesn't like giving yes or no's.
Yeah.
He's very much like, he lives in this ethereal realm
in the world of gray.
Yeah, we're just gonna vibe through the day, see how it goes, see how I feel. No biggie. I'm just like, yeah, yes, I don't even function that way.
Right.
So no, we're not gonna. No, like I need a yes, and then I get mad because I'm like, I need you to tell me yes or no. And he's like, well, if you need an answer right now, it's no.
Right.
Okay, well, that's not acceptable. You at least need to think about it.
Are our husbands twins?
Sometimes I think so. So yeah, I definitely the maybes and the like. But he does it with me too. Like, he does it with me where he's just like, you know, maybe we'll go out for dinner tonight. And then it's like dinner time. I'm like, are we going out for dinner? He's like, why would you think we're going out for dinner? I'm like, because this morning you said maybe we're going to go out for dinner. And he's like, well, yeah, but then we didn't talk about it all day. We didn't make a plan. So I'm like, well, I got a babysitter. Why would you get a babysitter without talking to me? I'm like, you said we were going out to dinner. I never said that. I said maybe.
I feel like this is a counseling session right now. We just started off talking about apologizing to our kids, and now we're counseling. But no, it really does. It's amazing that how having kids will make you reflect on just being a better human being in general.
Uh-huh.
And this is one of those situations where, as moms, we're standing back and saying, hey,
We're reflecting on how our husbands need to be a better human in general.
right. Hey, I don't like it when you do this to me. Imagine how a 4-year-old feels when you do it to him. So it's not just about ourselves, I guess. It's about stopping and not even just my husband. I've found even with like my son's grandparents and things like that, I will actually interrupt and say, hey, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, my mindset, my mama's heart stops and says, I would not be receiving that well right now. Not that I want him to be like all feelings everywhere. But I do want to also be that advocate and
Yeah, for sure.
and stop and say, no, that's not okay. And I want him to understand that it's okay to say to people, I'm done with that. This is the line.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, and Mike has always been really great about apologizing to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets too angry or if he breaks a promise or whatever. He's not as good as apologizing to me, but at least he does it to the kids. Like,
right.
He's always on top of it. Like, I'm sorry, I overreacted, or, he talks it through with them a lot. Like, if there's a situation, he'll always like pull whichever child it was, except obviously Rayla, because she does enjoy the babble, but you're not going to get very far in that conversation. He'll pull Malcolm or John aside and talk to them about what happened. I'm not privy to those conversations. I assume that there's some semblance of apology going on, but he's really good at just talking it out with them to make sure that it's ironed over, smoothed over. So yeah, he's better at it than I am. That's okay.
Right. Well, I would say the same. Dan is very good about coming to Joe and say, hey, Daddy didn't mean to snap on you like that.
It's like they like them better than us.
Well, I think goes back to what I was saying earlier, and that's they don't yet hold it. Like I said, an apology is like handing somebody power.
Yeah.
And so we're more prone to be like, now that you're sorry, how sorry are you?
All right. So we are at the portion of our podcast where we want to recommend a book. I always say boy. A book, a toy, or an activity. You can go first, Michelle.
I recommend boys too. So
boogers and all.
Boogers and all. My recommend for this week is to think about crafts, because you and I are centered here in Wisconsin, where it is cold and lots of snow. And so even though we make that attempt of getting our kids outside, not always is the weather conducive. And so I just wanted to encourage mamas to have some crafts on hand. And one of the very super important things that's important to me is that I try not to dictate too much how Joe crafts. Like,
I'm not good at
that. like there's the part of me that wants to say, okay, so here's the heart, and you're gonna put a dot of glue here and a dot of glue here and a dot of glue here, and then you're gonna sprinkle it just right there, and then so I try very hard to let him be expressive with his own art. I give him the stuff, but doing crafts doesn't have to be expensive. Dollar Tree store has tons and tons of cheap crafts. They've got like the foam stuff. Like right now they've got the foam hearts, and you can pick up some of that glitter glue. And I mean, something as simple as that will take him 15-20 minutes, and it's like 15-20 minutes where I can walk away and be like, I have a mom brain.
Well, it
I
will
can-
it'll also be just amazing for them, and they'll be so proud of themselves.
Yep. It
and-
builds confidence.
Mhm.
There's a whole lot of stuff behind allowing them to be creative and use their little brains.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I crafted with the kids more. I'm really not good at it. I mean, when we go places, I'm all about bringing like an art kit along.
Mhm.
And by art kit, I mean like it's markers and crayons,
Right.
and paper. Like I know we call it an art kit, but it's really not.
It's still artistic.
Yeah, I know, but to me, it's like art is like,
right. Paint and
right.
yeah.
Ugh, and paint, I swear, is the bane of my existence. So yeah, no, I definitely wish that I crafted more with the kids, but I don't. So that's a really good tip for me.
Well, it can be messy, right?
Yeah,
and
it can-
I definitely have to be in the frame of mind to know that I'm going to have to clean up a mess before I let him craft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
But John is really into, like, for Christmas last year, I almost bought him a paper shredder because he loves office supplies. He loves tape. He loves scissors. He loves
sounds like he's
staples.
my kind of kid.
Like, he's just all about it. And I'm just always like, ugh. Because he'll sit there for like 3 hours, just cut up paper.
Yeah.
Just cut paper.
Just
tape it together. No big deal. Just tape everywhere.
Him and I should just spend time together.
I'm like, but you're not taping. That's not what tape is for. It's not.
Dan will say to me, "Do you really need another stapler? You've got a stapler." But look at this one's glittery. I mean, it's not like my other stapler.
Yeah, I get him colored staples sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Highlighters, special pins. I got a
Mhm.
whole bag full of pins.
Yes. Yeah. That's John, and that's art and crafts time for him. And he loves glitter glue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is his favorite thing in the whole world to play with is glitter glue.
And it is just one of the most simple things you can give them.
Exactly. And yeah, that's a good activity for me just to be encouraged to do, because I should definitely do it more. So the dollar store styrofoam things, that might be my where we sit, because we have a snowstorm coming in tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that'll be tomorrow's activity.
They're saying like 5 to wait, I think it was
5
like
to 12 or something.
right. The last I checked, it was like 3 to 9. I'm like, well, that's quite a variance.
That's like a dusting versus like, I mean, I have to get out the boots. Like, what?
Right.
Where are we right now? I don't know if you know
Right.
this, but like 3 to 9, it's a pretty big range. Whenever they say that, I'm like, okay, so we're getting nothing.
Right, exactly.
That's what we're getting.
I'm going to assume, and because like while we're recording now on a Saturday and tomorrow is church day, and it's like, so am I going to be able to go to church?
Yeah.
So you're right. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, do I need to have stuff prepared because I'm going to be occupying a 4-year-old all day again, or do I get our clothes ready and take him to church where he's going to have something else occupying him?
Right.
That's not why I go to church. But
no, it is
it
part
helps.
of it though.
Yes.
It is part of it because it breaks the
Mhm.
monotony of, because you guys are home, it is almost like an activity.
Yes.
Because he gets social interaction.
Yes.
He gets, whatever they do in Sunday school, he gets the music, he gets to see people. So, I mean, it part of the reason that I take the kids to church is because of those things. So, there's no judgment here.
So no,
There's another person who can watch my kids here.
Right. You want to spend time with him? Excellent. No, I love him very much. But like, yeah, there's such a difference. Like 3 inches means, yes, we'll be going to church tomorrow. Where 9 inches is like, well,
Maybe not. Yeah.
and our driveway situation.
Yeah, mine's similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a mess.
It's like, I'm not going to make my husband go out at 8:30 in the morning
On his only day off.
on his only day off
Like,
to
no.
to
Yeah.
plow me out so I can get to church. I love my church, but
Yeah, that's fair.
I have to be considerate of him as well. So what do you recommend this week?
So, I got into a conversation with some ladies yesterday about, so February is Black History Month.
Mhm.
And we were talking about how to expose our kids to, different cultures, different ethnicities, different situations